and that will just keep us stuck procrastinating because we're scared to fail. So we'd rather not start so we can't fail, but that way we also can't win. Let's talk about procrastination and what is holding you back from getting your work done. So for me, I always procrastinated so much, especially during school, because I had this underlying fear of failing. But yeah, I just used my phone all the time. And the worst part is, when I needed to study, I was watching videos about how to study faster, how to study smarter. I didn't study, I was just watching those videos, and I was procrastinating so much, but I thought like, oh, I'm being so productive. And the same thing might happen to you watching this video, trying to overcome your procrastination, yet this is just another video that you're going to watch and being stuck in that loophole. And I want to help you get out of there and try to share what helped me. First of all, it was very important to me to see what is procrastination and why I am procrastinating. The first thing that I noticed is I'm overwhelmed. I have so many goals that are really big. It's like, oh, I want to change the world. And just hearing that or trying to create a plan of how to change the world, like that's something like huge. And a lot of different kinds of companies or people that want to have an impact, they usually have a whole group and people that try to map out the whole thing. It's kind of like asking yourself like, oh, design a new iPhone, and it's a one-man show. Because at Apple, there's so many people working to design the newest iPhone with like the materials, the software, all that kind of stuff. It's like so many people working on that. So because of that, you need to break down your goals into very, very small, achievable movements. Another thing is also how you define your goals. Because a lot of the times we define things by saying something that is out of our control. And if it's out of our control, it's really scary because we don't know, is it going to work? It's like me starting this YouTube. It is out of my control to know how many followers I could get on this account. Because I could have the most perfect videos. If it's not exposed to the right people, I will probably end up getting disappointed. So it is really important to set out goals, things that you can actually achieve. It's like, okay, I'm going to study 3 times a week or 30 minutes per day, like something, and then make it really specific and say like, okay, after I get home, I'm eating something, and then I'm going to study, or I'm going to learn Spanish, or whatever it is that you want to start. You need to start at some point, and it's really important to set out a specific time. And that way, even if you say you want to be fluent in 1 year, you're more likely going to achieve it working on your Spanish every day for 30 minutes than not studying or not learning at all at the end of the year and like, oh, I still didn't start yet. Maybe I should start next year. And you're just going to push and push it forward. That's the saddest part about life. If you look back and see, there were so many opportunities sent your way and you just kept on procrastinating because you were too scared to fail. And that was ideally what was my biggest issue, was like being scared to fail in school or being scared to fail at a certain hobby. That's why I never started certain things, because I was just there thinking, oh, I'm not gonna be good enough anyways doing that sport, or I'm not talented enough. And there are so many skills that you can build without having any talent. Yes, it will take longer than someone that's talented doing that specific instrument or learning that language or whatever it is, but please don't compare yourself to those people that are very talented, because you have talents as well. Maybe you just need some time to discover them, because just because you grew up being terrible at, I don't know, football, basketball, all those kind of ball sports, there could still be a ball sport out there that you haven't tried yet and you would be so talented, and the more you work on that, the better you're going to get. And that applies to so many things in our life. I think especially during our childhood, we make so many experiences. And for me, it was a lot of bad experiences of me thinking like, oh, I can't do this and I can't do this, and I'm kind of not so good at this either. So I was just constantly in that spiral of thinking I can't do it, So that way I just kept on getting it more into procrastinating and trying and watching so many videos about personal development and how I can be better, how I can be more productive. But at the same time, it didn't change anything for me, because even though I had all that knowledge in theory, you need to practice your theory and put it into practice what you've learned. And that's the thing, like at university, all that kind of stuff is like very theoretical, but it's not practical. Just because you have that knowledge doesn't mean you immediately can apply that to your work and to your practical skills. And that is another skill. Practicing things is another skill compared to like just knowing things in theory. We can practice it by getting out of our comfort zone more often, and it's really important when it comes to procrastination. Why are you procrastinating? And how can you overcome it? And you can overcome it by simply understanding, okay, every time I feel this discomfort, like there's a test that I need to study for. Every time you have this uncomfortable feeling, remind yourself, this is what's going to push you to the next level. I was so terrified before doing my driver's license, the whole tests, and it was something like I never did before. Now it's like so easy for me to drive, but it's always that first hump that you need to overcome. This is the hardest, the first time jumping off a cliff. There are like so many different kinds of fears that hold us back, that keep us procrastinating, because we're so scared of public speaking, and that's why we might not work on our stuff better or on our script. And the same thing keeps on happening to me posting YouTube videos. There are so many days where I question myself, or I'm like, is it worth it? What am I doing? And yeah, it's important to still keep publishing videos, and not every video might hit as your best video. It really depends on your topic and so many different kind of things. That's why it's really important to stay consistent and to just start very slow, start very small, and then just building up. And that just applies to getting into a new hobby, getting into a new job. Like I'm currently transitioning jobs, and that is very much outside of my comfort zone as well. And that's really hard for a lot of people, because it's like a completely different work ethics or different people that you're surrounded by, different names. There's so many things to learn and grow from, but at the same time, you might be scared to ask questions. These are all things that are always very present, and I'm trying to use YouTube as a platform to share my experiences, to also be able to hear from your experiences, so we can build this kind of like community where it's all about being a better person than we were yesterday. And it doesn't matter if you were going 1 step, 10 steps, to kind of let go of that comparison of seeing like, oh, there's someone half my age with that's twice as successful, and that's just going to keep us on that spiral of being too scared to start, and that will just keep us stuck procrastinating because we're scared to fail. So we'd rather not start so we can't fail, but that way we also can't win. And we want to be in the arena. We don't want to be a part of the people that sit on the cheap seats and just hate on us, hate on others, and say like, oh, like those people that watch football from home and they're like, oh, he's doing it that way, and that's bad, and I would have done it better. But obviously they're not professionals and they would have not done it better. But it's way easier to point at others and point out what they're doing wrong instead of seeing what's going on in our lives. I hope this video helped you about procrastination. I might do another part being even more specific with certain things. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Bye!